Hello, everyone. My name is John Harnisher. I am the head of research at DataKind, and I am very excited to be here at Financial Inclusion Week to share some work that DataKind has done with the Mastercard Center for Inclusive Growth on inclusive climate finance. The work that we've done in this area is really about a few things. One is really to understand this connection between climate and finance. There's a lot of work being done in inclusive finance. There's work being done in the climate space, and trying to bring those together and to do an overview and a landscape of that space is one of the major goals of the analysis and this landscape that we wrote. The other is really trying to bring data science into the equation. DataKind is a data science organization, and so our goal is to really bring the data science lens to this work. DataKind, as I said, is a data science organization. Our goal and our mission as an organization is to harness the power of data science and AI in the service of humanity. What we do is we bring data science and AI techniques and capabilities to social impact organizations that might not otherwise have those capabilities. And so we're excited to take a look at what's going on in the world of inclusive climate finance and help to bring an understanding of some of the things that are going on in the world of data science that can project that area forward. So as we all know, climate change is the biggest threat facing humanity right now. Between 2030 and 2050, there's expected to be 250,000 additional deaths per year from things like malnutrition, malaria, diarrhea, heat stress. Lots of people have seen in this very last summer the results of that large amount of heat stress. The direct damage cost to health is estimated to be between $2 and $4 billion a year by 2030. So these are big impacts that are going to be felt financially. Doing things like reducing emissions of greenhouse gases through better transportation, food and energy use choices can result in improved health, particularly through reduced air quality. This is all some information from the World Health Organization. So trying to work to reduce greenhouse gases and trying to mitigate the problems is one of the big techniques that are being used in this space. Inclusive solutions are necessary. One reason why it's really important to think about inclusive solutions across the world is the most severe harms from climate change are falling disproportionately and unfortunately upon underserved communities who are least able to prepare for and recover from heat waves, from poor air quality, from flooding and other impacts, and they don't have the financial resources in general to withstand those impacts. So how can we make understandable and interpretable information on climate impacts in a way that informs including financial solutions? That was our goal. Can we take an understanding of climate impacts and how does that inform inclusive financial solutioning across the globe? So we created this landscape. Landscaping data science as a catalyst for a sustainable future. That data science can be a really important piece moving forward. The three components here were climate finance, financial inclusion, and data science. And so we were trying to bring that nexus together in our discussion here. So we're using existing frameworks as a scaffolding to guide inclusive finance work in the face of climate change. So there are a lot of really great frameworks out there that can scaffold the work that's being done, but a lot of actions seem to be taken without necessarily connecting to a scaffolding. We're also wanting to identify and fill information gaps that exist out there. There are still spaces where information isn't readily or easily available. And we want to demonstrate some successful data and AI-driven solutions to advance inclusive climate finance. So using a framework to guide this work in the context of climate change has been really important. So there are four different ways that people can respond, or 4 pathways to response in terms of climate change. They are mitigation, resilience, adaptation, and transition. And there's a lot of information on the slide. I'll ask everybody to take a look at it later on. But one thing that is really critical is that a lot of work is being done in the realm of mitigation, reducing greenhouse gases, reducing emissions, regenerating ecosystems. So examples in inclusive climate finance there are subsidies or guarantees for credit to invest in new resource efficient or low carbon practices, low carbon technologies, those kinds of things. How data science can help facilitate that is machine learning and data and satellite data analysis can be used to verify that the practices being taken are actually resulting in mitigation. So looking directly at, are we actually seeing reductions, for example, in the amount of carbon in an area, or in greenhouse gas reduction. Resilience is the next thing. That's trying to increase the capacity to cope with or recover from short-term climate shocks. So things that help support that from a inclusive climate finance lens would be cash transfers or digital transfers for emergencies, looking at whether an index, livestock index insurance, creating easy access to savings, looking at getting social protection payments up there. And so machine learning can help to identify who is climate vulnerable, what users should you prioritize, those kinds of things. So there are lots of things that could be done in the data science space to help facilitate that. The next step as you go down is an adaptation. Okay, that's increasing capacity to plan and adapt for future climate shocks. So instead of just dealing with the ones that are happening, how do we prepare for those that might be coming? So subsidies or guarantees for credit to invest in adaptation or resilience enhancing activities are another one. Satellite data for verification that adaptation activities are actually happening is important. And then finally, transition, which is the most drastic of these changes, is where people will be shifting livelihoods and economies will be shifting when adaptation is no longer available. So financing to invest in vocational training, new livelihoods, people needing to move into completely different areas. That's an emerging space in the world of ICF and data science, but one that we do believe will continue to move forward. So really important to set the activities that are happening in the world of climate finance into one of these 4 categories and into a framework, so that you can understand, well, what would the possible outcomes be? And then what will the possible changes that could occur from a data science perspective be? We identified some challenges in achieving inclusive climate finance, and we have some activities to close the gaps from those challenges. The first one, which I mentioned earlier, is clarity. Currently, there's ambiguity of terms, indicators, data, and data availability. That tends to destabilize the very foundation and understanding of how ICF operates to achieve its goals. So actions that we believe are important, and one that we advocate in this report that we've created, and of course, I'll ask everybody to go and download the entire report. I'm just giving a very high-level summary here. Stronger taxonomies, shared terminology, and interoperability are those actions that we suggest at the very high level. Context is really important. So there's a lack of comprehensive context in which inclusive climate finance strategies operate. For whom do they operate? Under which circumstances is it most beneficial? So how to break it down and understand which are the people that are actually being benefiting or not benefiting from what's going on. So data disaggregation to understand who's most in need is important. Research activities, evaluation to understand those differential impacts needs to continue and needs to be going further to help develop our context around the inclusive climate finance situation. Risk. There's a gap in risk assessment at the intersection of finance, climate, and social risks. So actually bringing these things together, and this is a really important action where predictive modeling can help, because each of these might be understood separately, but bringing together using large data sets, bringing together modeling that combines risk and uses non-traditional risk methods as well. And then finally, implementation and impact. Work is tending to be focused on mitigation and short-term response to climate change, but the timelines for these financial impacts and the timelines for climate impact, which are much larger, are not aligned. So we're going to need to, in the financial space, be exploring longer term timelines, expanding into out of them just mitigation, if you remember the table from a few slides ago, and into adaptation and the transition spaces, which we're going to see more and more work coming down the road in that space. So there are some opportunities for solution development, including data science more thoroughly and AI activities into the mix. So what can data science do? It can help identify populations most in need of resources and most at risk, using innovative strategies like machine learning applied to mobile phones to predict poverty, to predict those who are going to be most directly unable to respond to a financial impact from climate. There are innovative satellite analysis techniques that can be used to verify carbon mitigation practices. So actually looking at not only do we think that this is having an effect, but actually using technology, satellite technology, to say there's been a mitigation practice here, and we can now see that that impact is happening. Data science can also work to combine climate models with financial inclusion to predict where the highest climate risks are and where the financial needs overlap. So that combination piece, which is the whole goal of the landscape, is really important as well. So what do we do next? I would say join us in the conversation about inclusive climate finance by reading and sharing our report, which you can find at datakind.org on our website. We are always open to have people collaborate with us on data science interventions that can support inclusive climate finance and work to continue to identify the connection points for advancing inclusive climate finance. So I really thank you for your time. This has been an excellent and fun project to work on. It's a wonderful area and a growing area, and one that couldn't be any more important to humanity. Thank you.